Before we get into this morning's Cowboys report, we are narrowly losing the like battle this month against our rivals over at Eagles. Now, we can catch that on this video alone. In fact, I expect to do so. If you want us to win and you're excited for the NFL draft, then like today's video right now. Let's get into what Dak Prescott had said as part of a lengthy different types of questions he had answered at a charity event about his future, about the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, etc. For the most part, Dak's always been pretty good about this. There are notable exceptions, but he's always been pretty good about towing the company line, so to speak, not getting wild and out of control with his answers and saying crazy stuff or revealing too much information. But he did reveal at least a few things that I find quite noteworthy as it relates to where things sit with the Cowboys and Dak, especially if you're able to translate through the player speak. I don't think, based on what we've seen so far, I don't think Dak would be that great like in an on-air, like an analyst role, like the same way Troy Aikman and Romo are. He just kind of does too much coach speak stuff. He actually might be a decent coach. Here's what Dak said on the contract talks in general. I'm focused on the moment, on the now. If the talks begin and the real talks get to happen, sure, we can talk about getting that done. But in this case right now, honestly, I'm worried about getting better, being better more than I am at this moment. Leaving that up to my agent and Jerry at this point, when those talks begin, I'll be more involved. You probably don't need much of a translation here, but no actual contract talks so far. And that has been a theme for a big portion of the offseason so far. They didn't call Eric Kendricks, and then they kind of said, I want to be a Cowboy and change his tune, took less, whatever. They have publicly stated that they have not been calling free agents this offseason, instead allowing the free agents and the agents of those players to call them because they're so desperate to win the deal. They don't ever want to make the first call because they think that puts them in a position that lacks strength in negotiations. It's something similar going on with CeeDee Lamb as well. They just haven't tried to do things this year. And that's what bothers me more than anything. Because whatever route you could have been aggressive, not been aggressive, and rebuilt. That's fine. To do nothing, really, is very frustrating to me. To publicly admit you're not making calls blows my mind when you're coming off a 12-win season. I just don't get it. So grade the Cowboys offseason so far. I think I know how these votes are going to go. A, B, C, D, or F. Sound off with the pinned comment of today's video. Look, the plan's been bad. And I think whatever side of the ideal scenario you're on, you would agree. If you want to be aggressive and try to win games now with this quarterback, you're mad because they haven't done that. If you are mad because if you're on the side of they got to rebuild, tear it down, it's just not going to work, okay, I'm fine with that too, by the way. They haven't done that either. They've just said, we'll see. I hate it. Now, Dak also spoke on his demands. He asked, do you want to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL? He said, quote, I'm not trying to be the highest paid necessarily. We'll wait until negotiations begin. Obviously, I want to put this team in the best situation. Now, that was, very much PR talk, by the way. We also can't have an asking price given to the Cowboys when you haven't had negotiations started. That, $60 million per year, which, by the way, the number jumps every time you hear someone talk about it. That's understandable speculation, by the way. And it probably won't be that far off, especially if he ends up hitting the open market, next season. The longer Dallas waits, the longer it costs. That has been proven true time and time again. Yes, the salary cap goes up alongside of it. But if you just do it early, you can better structure the way the contract all plays out. And it normally doesn't even jump at the same rate as the salary cap does, at least for most positions. Again, the $40 million Dak signed all those years ago, it's about $60 million right now, because that is how the market tends to operate. But they just seem inclined to play the waiting game, because if they had done the contract right the first time, we wouldn't even be in the spot the second time. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports app out there. You just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. The playoff action is here for the NBA, and you can win up to 100x your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. Now, Prize Picks offers weekly promotions, special offers, and more for the biggest moments in sports, including the freebie, basically, they gave you for Nikola Jokic, a half point against the Lakers. I took that one. I paired it with Joel Embiid, less than points. I needed less than 29.5. He had 29. And I also took Jokic more than 50.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He had 51. I have never had such a narrow finish in Prize Picks, but I got all 3 right, so it paid out pretty big there. Prize Picks, daily fantasy, made easy, folks. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Now, the other fairly honest answer I think he got out of Prescott was he knows his future is unclear at this time. Here's what he said. I'm not going to say I fear being here or not. I don't fear either situation, to be candid with you. I love this game and love to play and love to better myself as a player and my teammates around me. Right now, it's with the Dallas Cowboys. That's where I want to be, and that's where I am. That's the focus. After the season, we'll see where we're at and if the future holds that. If not, then we'll go from there. The pauses, by the way, were intentional. He did have kind of those longer pauses when he was thinking about what to say there. So the translation is simple. And this is something that Dak has said and his brother has said, and I think anyone close to him knows. He wants to be in Dallas. What he wants to do, he grew up a Cowboys fan. He wants to be the Cowboys quarterback and win the championship there. But he also doesn't know if he will be. We'll just see what happens. And I think in general, it's one thing for a player to take the we'll see approach. It's another thing for an organization to take it when you have a top 10 quarterback. And it's fine if you don't think that's enough. There's a very valid, real, justifiable argument that, hey, you know what, he's a top 10 quarterback, but I think with the way this team spends their money, with the way they play in the postseason, I think they need a top 5 quarterback. Okay. And in that case, I would agree with you that they should have ripped the Band-Aid off and started the rebuild now to get that top 5 pick, top 5 prospect, which the best way to do it is to get the top 5 pick. So do you want Dak back as the Cowboys quarterback in 2025? Y for yes, N for no in the comments. As I've said before, and I will continue to say at this point, I don't care. It's a political conversation. I'm fine with either. The one thing I asked for this entire offseason, I just want to plan. I just want to know what the Cowboys are doing, and I don't consider, we'll kind of hedge our bets across the board. Hedging is for cowards. Should never hedge because you're just limiting your potential return on both sides. When in the world of the NFL, what we want as fans, it's all or nothing. Hedging is fine if you want to be a 10-win team. They already are a 10-win team. 10 wins isn't good enough. I just want a plan in place. And by the way, Troy Aikman thinks the exact same thing. Saying, quote, I thought they would have done something with Dak at this point. I don't know if they're going to or what the game plan is. You just doesn't know. And it should be clear and obvious what your plan is. Not like, even if they're just going they're setting up for a reset. Why are you setting up for a reset? You just press the damn button and reset. It's actually kind of easy. It's not fun, but it is easy. So why are you prepping for a thing you can do? All you're doing is delaying the inevitable in that case. Now, it is finally NFL Draft Week. There's going to be so much coverage for you here on the Cowboys Report. Do not miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Briefly now, the latest on CeeDee Lamb from Dak Prescott did reveal some updates, but, things you would expect, I suppose. Dak saying, I've been in communication with CeeDee. That's there. We'll get work in. Whether it's him getting into the facility, maybe a deal gets done. If it doesn't, I guarantee you we'll still find a lot of time to make sure we're putting in the work where we feel comfortable. Translation, they'll hit up the backyard, the D4K backyard, the 40-yard field that Dak Prescott built at his house to have teammates over to train. Yeah, that'll be in use and already has been pretty heavily in use, by the way, this offseason. Frankly, I'm not worried about Lamb missing time. I have complete faith that Dak and Lamb and Cooks and others will get the work in the offseason in the backyard, wherever, to make sure they're good to go. But I am annoyed there's no contract progress. This organization keeps saying, Dak's a priority, Lamb's a priority, and they're not really trying to do anything. So I don't get it. By the way, that's seen by the players. They don't like that. They're like, these guys are our best players. Even just Lamb. Getting the Lamb deal done? That's weird. So will CeeDee Lamb get a deal done before training camp? 1 for yes or 0 for no. In reality, we've kind of talked about this for a year now because he was eligible for an extension last offseason. And boy, imagine if you just given him $28 million a year last offseason. Wouldn't you feel great about that contract right now? In the end, I do think this gets done. In fact, I'm not even that worried about it not getting done. But the process has been poor. We know how this is going to go. They're going to drag their feet. They'll probably get it done around training camp. 1 or 2 or maybe 3 more wide receivers get paid. And after, not wanting to set the market, they will eventually let the market set them and cost themselves in the short term. I am trying to make it easier on the Cowboys when it comes to their salary cap constraints. Doing deals earlier for players you want to be a part of the organization, like CeeDee Lamb, that should be the easy ones to do.